Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Silver Tempest, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Vikavolt V, with now the damage buff from the Regieleki VMAX from Silver Tempest. We're hoping that Item Lock can make a gracious return to the TCG. Some of the scariest attack text of all time is stopping your opponent from playing specific cards, and item cards are really up there, as it can stop a lot of the search cards in our format right now. And it means that your opponent can just be denied attacks sometimes by not being able to get set up in the game. Equally, Lightning type coverage gets even more appealing in this format as well, because of course Lugia is coming out from Silver Tempest and is likely one of the more popular decks in the room. So we are leaning in mostly on this early attack from Vikavolt V, Paralyzing Bolt doing just 50 base for a Lightning and Colourless, which means we're going to be playing Melony and Waters in here, so that if we are going second, we can try and initiate this lock from as early as turn 1 going second, and deny the opponent item cards for the majority of the game, as we take prize cards on lower hit point stuff, or just set up for future attacks. For example, the Super Zap Cannon, for 2 Lightning and 1 Colourless, deals 190, and you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. 190, not the best number, but again, we have the Regieleki VMAX, which we'll look at now, as well as Choice Belt to be buffing this damage output. So it may only take 1 or 2 Paralyzing Bolts to set things up for getting aggressive with Zap Cannons. The Regieleki V and VMAX are what really makes this deck happen. Previously, you had to buy way too many turns as Vikavolt to be efficient. You had to play lots of hammers, you had to rely on them getting heads, you had to play things like Galamine and trap stuff with boss's orders. Now that we have this transistor ability that we're going to be building in the back, ideally we get 1, 2, maybe even 3 of these powered up in certain situations, we're improving our damage output so much. It's only for basic Lightning Pokemon, so it's going to be augmenting the Vikavolt as well as our Raikou Vs in the deck here, which is fantastic. It also has a natural free retreat cost, which saves us a lot of space and headache also, which is great. So we just have a natural pivot in the deck. It does have a max Thunder and Lightning attack, which in theory we can use for Lightning 2 Colourless. You can deal 220 damage. I mean, it's an option if you come up against something like Flying Pikachu. I think that's the only time I'd ever look to power up this attacker, because we have more efficient stuff in the deck. But yeah, just something to bear in mind there. We will be building behind our Vikavolt, trying to get multiple Elekis powered up. Quick note on the regular V, it can do a hit and run attack, which I guess is something, but the Lightning Wall is actually important text here. For Lightning and 2 Colourless, you deal 100, and during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 100 less damage. You can actually use this attack to deal 0 damage to a Miltank, but they, in theory, deal 0 back to you. Similar to how Arc Gudra usually played no answer to Miltank, and it would try and draw out the game. We can do a similar thing here with Lightning Wall if we really have to, because right now I'm playing no attackers that can actually deal with the Miltank. It would only be attacking with Radiant Greninja over a number of turns, which isn't too easy. So we can use the Regieleki so that neither of us are hitting each other, and it tries to advance the game state in that regard, but yeah, it doesn't feel great to have no answers in this deck. We could add tech cards, but right now I'm giving you sort of the simplest shell possible. The real backup attacker is this Raikou V. 200 base hit points is very low, but we do have that fleet-footed, which allows us to get some additional cards in the opening stages, which is never a bad thing because we are a combo-reliant deck. And the Lightning Rondo, for Lightning Colourless, you do 20 plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon. So it's the same as that Suicune and the Entei that we already have in format. The difference is now we have the buff of Regieleki. So we actually, with double Regieleki in play and the fact that we play 3 Choice Belts, this is dealing more damage than a Palkia V-Star. So yeah, that's been one of the most powerful attackers in the game, and keeps your opponent's bench in check and makes them play very differently throughout the entire game. Raikou being in the list does that naturally for us, and it can really allow this deck to become a racing deck. If we get ahead by slowing the opponent down with Paralyzing Bolts, we can just carry on charging through with some Raikous being powered up in the back as well. We have a Drapion, which means ideally we're going a Drapion plus Raikou route and trying to race the Mew. And that's because Item Lock's not great against Mew. Like, sometimes it is if you can trap stuff, but it's a little bit less reliable. I feel like a prize race is more effective, and the Drapion helps us do that quite nicely. So this is the combination we'll look for in that matchup. We have Crobat and Lumineon helping us A, draw cards, and B, Lumineon cherry picks Melony for us, which is really important to activate these ball search cards. And we are playing Radiant Greninja in here as well. Conceal cards, really helpful for our water energies to activate Melony, and just seize more throughout the game as well. The trainer cards are pretty simplistic. We have a lot of ball search, we have some shoes and some energy searches to get our stuff rolling. We are playing Switch Carts because our only evolving Pokemon has free retreat naturally. We play quite a high count of switching options because we want to get our Vikavolt into the active when we have gone second so we can attack with it. It's really important to have that sort of stuff. And in general, we have high retreat costs from Vikavolt. Every now and then you can get a cheeky fleet-footed card in, then Switch Cart anyway. So that's very nice. Adding to our ball search, we have Stormy Mountains, which can allow us to get our main attackers as well as some free Alekis throughout the game, which is great. We're playing a couple Boss and one Serena, a couple Marnie, but Melony is kind of the focal point of the deck to make sure we keep up on attachments, not just on turn 1 going second, but throughout the game, making sure we have our next Vikavolt, our next Raikou ready to rumble. The other main card we get from Silver Tempest is the Forest Sealstone. The deck plays no V-Star, so we can use this to cherry-pick a card and get it directly into our hand, which is just a phenomenal option for us. Again, we're a combo-centric deck. Looking to just make that Melony combination happen that little bit more reasonably is always good news. Speed Lightning, topping us up on cards, always great for a Lightning deck to take advantage of this. And then our split of energy because we are playing E-Search. So yeah, let's see how Item Lock does. I'm still a little bit sus of this deck, honestly. I think it's one of these decks that on paper can be challenging Lugia very effectively, can be really annoying for some lost engines. And because we're teching for Mew, we should be good. So on paper, there's a lot that looks appealing here. But I do feel like, because we put so many V and VMAX Pokemon into play, if you miss a beat, you just crumble, pretty much. So we'll see how it goes on the ladder today. I'm also a little bit sus that the Reggie matchup is still a little bit awkward. Even with our damage modifiers, just the hit points that we have to get through gives them a lot of time to just swing with one prizes, which is a little bit worrying. Regardless, we have a pretty strong start. We've gone first, so we don't have to worry about getting the Melony combo, but we can at least set it up for next turn. I can get a fleet-footed card, some speed lightning cards, and some trekking shoes. So we're seeing a good number of cards in our opening here. We'll see what we're up against. We actually are up against the Reggie deck. I think, because I want multiple basics down, I think I fleet-footed and shoe first. So let's fleet-footed the card first. We have a couple shoes to play here. Definitely like water in the discard pile, that's great. Another quick ball is great. Let's shoe again here. And yeah, I like Stormy Mountains. It does allow the opponent to get an extra Reggie piece out, which we have to be concerned about, because they've already started 3. It's actually a bit of a high roll. Maybe I should stop my opponent from having this. I think I say no to this, which is a little bit weird to not play your own stadium, but we can continue to thin. Looks like we prized both of our basic lightnings, which is scary. Luckily, we have our speed lightning. Let's do this. We're going to throw away a water, and then I'm going to grab Greninja, and then we'll conceal cards to see some more. And then we'll look to get our Vikavolt and Alekis weaved in. There's an Aleki, that's nice. Triple Melony. I think I can throw 1 away. Alright, let's see a couple more from speed. So you can see how many cards we've just drawn here without a supporter. Really good stuff. We've Greninja'd, we've shoesed, we've fleet-footed, speed. We've seen a lot of cards on our opener here. So more or less happy to pass. We are leaving a Fighting Week 2 prizer in the active position, which is a little bit ugly. I feel like the not allowing the stadium is probably going to be the right play for us. Force the most out of the Reggie deck, right? Because if ever I can stop them from getting what they want into play with Paralyzing Bolt, we're going to be in a good spot. I'm going to see the belts come down. Of course, the opponent wants to play as many item cards as possible. That's why you see them throwing away an ordinary rod, which they normally try and protect, because they just got to get onto the board as quickly as possible here. They don't seem to have any special energy in hand, which is the good news right now. Looks like they're throwing away a Serena, so they at least have a supporter card here. I see Scoop Up Nets. So they can hoard for some cards, possibly. Yep. Just for 1, it is pre-supporter, because there's no way they don't have a supporter in hand if they were discarding a Serena. Yeah, they're just going to get rid of their first special energy. well as a second rod. Sometimes we can run them out of Regis by targeting one down and just bolting through that one multiple times and denying the ordinary rod recovery, which can be cool. A few cheeky avenues we've got at our disposal. The Path to the Peak does shut down, of course, our Regieleki VMAX, so we will be looking to bounce the stadium. It's also turning off our free fleet-footed card. You hate to see it. But it's going to yeet their Drago out the way and bring up the Rock. The Rock is cooking. The idea behind this is... Oh, so I thought they were going to have a turn attachment in here as well. But because they don't, that's pretty good news for us. Let's Melony here. We don't find a stadium. We do find Ball Search to get another Vika V down. So that's good. I think it's Fish Water that goes. Let's see a couple more cards. Not too helpful. I was really looking for Stadium here most of all. But we're just going to come in and bolt. Try and catch them on an awkward hand. I feel like if they had any Auroras, they would have played it last turn. But they do have a research at least. Maybe they top-decked Aurora? Because there's no way they wouldn't have played it into a Choice Belt, right? Unless it's like a bait play. And they have the other Aurora, so they can just take a KO here with Giga Impact. The good news is there is negative text on the Giga Impacts, right? They can't attack next turn. So if I just keep the lock up, they have to pay retreat and attack with something else, and I can just hit this rock again. Then they probably go Regice, try and bind us. And then I have to like switch cart in and out to attack again. And hopefully boss up the rock and make it tricky for them. Alright, so let's Melony to the Vikavolt. Stadium Bounce seems good to me, because I'm not targeting Dragon or Lightning anyway. So let's do this. Let's get our Vika down. I think it's the right move to get Vika down rather than extra Regieleki. There is benefits to having triple Regieleki in play, because I can hit 140 with a Paralyzing Bolt then. It just means that I need the stadium to stick around for a little while longer. But we can live with this. We're going to keep throwing away some water energy. Not ideal, right? At least I have double switch cart, so they're going to retreat and hit with this guy almost always, I think. And then we have to switch in and out and boss this. Then they come in with the Regieleki again. And I need to have more switches. But I have no draw power. If I just go switch, hit, he can retreat and KO with the rock. Regardless, he can retreat and KO with any of this stuff. So oh no, he can't, because I'll be taking out the rock. So he'd have to have the physical second rock in hand. So I definitely have to deal with the rock, right? Let's do this. Because we're trying to just stop the wisdom as much as possible. We are 3 switch carts down, which is a little bit ugly. That's going to hit us again for 100. Alright, Speed Lightning is scary. I think I need to not play Speed here. I think I just belt my stuff that's going to be free retreating, and then I just play the Marnie here. I cannot attack. Okay. So we're hoping to find Forest Seal Stone as well. Forest Seal Stone gets me to continue to Paralyzing Bolt. But then I'd be getting knocked out anyway. This is scary. Let's pop this here. We really do need a lot next turn. But we get to continue the item lock for one more turn. He can take KO just with Blizzard Bind here. But I'm hoping the door starts to shut on him a little bit if I can Paralyzing Bolt again next turn. We definitely need help from draws, but... they hit the extra rock. I think the fact that they hit the rock is so bad for us. I mean, if I can KO the Regice this turn, it's not a problem. We are reliant on the top deck, obviously. Maybe need the Fleet-Footed card here as well. We still have Balloon in the deck. It would force... It lets me see one extra card, but it's just so bad. Jiminy Christmas. Alright. Speed Lightning Energy is insane. That's probably the best draw in the deck, actually. Well, maybe Supporters would be better, but... okay. Alright, this is going quite well, if I say so myself. We're almost there, boys, I think. We are really almost there. We need to hit our Air Balloon. Oh no, because I can't Melony this turn, obviously. So I have to retreat into Radiant Greninja this turn and hope for the best. And we can't do that, unfortunately. Didn't find our balloon. But unironically, like, it looks bad because we're getting swept and we only took one prize. If we could have been able to attack with a Vikavolt this turn, take the KO, then they have to physically find the Regice for us to lose. And if they don't do that exactly next turn and we get triple VMAX up, we just KO one at a time and they just lose. So even though we've been railed by the Regis there are paths to win by just running them out of rods and stuff. I do think it's an unfavored matchup, like I was saying at the start, but it looked worse than it was there, I think. We had a tough rub of the green. Even the board space for starting Raikou ended up being quite bad for us, because in this matchup, triple Regieleki is so important, because you don't get Choice Belt buff for your damage. So yeah, that was a interesting game. Interesting game. Possibly me getting the third Regieleki was just too greedy anyway, and I should have just accepted and made it easier for myself to chain the lock. But I had big dreams in mind, big plans. Maybe it was too greedy. Alright, we're going first again here. Don't have the best of hands. We're currently lacking Ball Search. I would much prefer to attach to anything but this guy. So we'll see how it goes. An Umbreon V. Okay. That's a great candidate for the discard pile. I guess I'm just going speed active here. Is there much reason for me to proactively Ultra Ball? I guess. I think I'm believing in the Speed Lightning. 3 draws to get me into the game next turn. It's not a great hand. I could easily have just held the Ultra Ball there and just passed and seen my top deck to decide. So maybe that was my fault. Umbreon though, what is this? Oh, it's a Lugia deck playing Umbreon for dark type coverage and gusting. That's pretty spicy. A Lugia that can gust on turn 2 is definitely a scary idea. There goes a couple Archeops. They've also got the early V Guard energy down, which really does make a mockery of our damage output. There's a Tower of Darkness. So a bit of a draw engine as well for the Lugia deck. Very cool idea. Probably quite good into multi-prize matchups, but probably quite bad into single-prize matchups. A lot of spice in here. Here comes the Lugia. And the pass. Alright, Quick Ball's a good start for us, because that can become the fish for Melony. So that means we get the lock established, which is great news. We've drawn so many energy, I'm actually going to get rid of E-Search here. And just go fish, melon. I can bounce the stadium, very happy with that. If this has any damage counters on it, it does 80 more damage. So the opponent literally only needs to get a V-Star to take a KO on us. I'm hitting for 50. Next turn, 30, 160, 180, 200, 210 with triple single strike energy. Oh, I'm only doing 20 damage as well. Oh, it's so ugly. That is a problem for us, no doubt about it. Might be forced into Raikouing next turn, honestly. That is so ugly. I could see an extra card for Fleet-Footed as well, I guess. I could Switch Cart into it. But yeah, the V-Guard energy mugging us off. We have to really cross our fingers they can't V-Star this turn. Hopefully turning off Incenses and Ultra Balls help us out. They probably only have 2 more physical Lugias in the deck. Probably. Right, we see the attachments. Of Aurora. They're going to shuffle with Mountain. And it's just a Serena for 4 cards, probably. Or for 5 cards. The second V-Guard in the discard pile is really good for us as well. Honestly, it would be a bit of a high roll for them. Alright, well they can bring up the fish, maybe. That's exactly what we're going to see. So that went really well for us, honestly. Let's make another Vikavolt. Let's see a couple cards. Let's Melony. No, let's Shoe. This seems important. That's Melony active. Definitely a fan of all this stuff happening. And do I want to Forest Seal Stone for anything? What can I Seal Stone for? I've already supported, so I wouldn't be bossing. I think we're just chilling, honestly. I think it's just... plant this on the big guy. And let's swing. So again, they can take a KO next turn with a number of single strike energies. I've not seen any yet, but I assume they're in the list because they're playing towers. There's a Burnett, of all things. And it's just the 160. That is great news for us. So I think we just chase the Lugia here. We're doing enough to KO with the belt and the transistor. So let's... yeah, can't draw any cards. Let's... try and limit them a little bit. We're doing 220 with this guy, minus, and that's a bit annoying. Maybe the Grove Tablet was meant to go on the fish instead. I guess this can Super Zap Cannon as well, so I swing the Lightning here. And the belts. Now that I'm not afraid of burst single strike energies. Alright, we have denied a Lugia from coming into play. Which means we should be running away with this game really now. We're effectively at 240, so we're doing 369, 280. So that's all groovy. Let's Melony. And attach. Let's thin some of the stuff we don't need anymore. Really want any of this stuff. Vika can come down. Alright, so we have broken the lock, but we are one prize away. to the opponent's 4. They can make themselves pretty sizable, but it's not a huge issue for us. They're bravely putting a Lugia down. Thanks to their panic boss, we can't quite win next turn, or this turn I should say, so we'll just continue to lock. Let's see if they get any heroic top decks. No, they don't. Let's not mug ourselves off. Let's zap the Lugia. Very nice. Well, the deck did what it wanted to there. We locked them out of a ton of ball search, and that was obviously what was in their hand, as we just saw them search out certain stuff. So denying that was huge, and the lightning weakness was also huge. Allowed us to Gust KO Lugia whilst keeping lock established, which is just insane. So that was pretty good. Let's get one more game in. Sometimes item lock can still be a cross your fingers kind of deal. But, you know, hurting outs from the opponent is always valuable. Looks like we're going second, so we're looking to get combo, and this hand isn't looking very combo-y. I mean, I can Crobat and Fleet-Footed for some additional cards, but no energy in sight just yet, so we need a water and a lightning if we're going to get anything done here. Could be up against a Palkia deck, by the looks of things. Another matchup where lightning weakness is very prevalent. We also make Shady Dealing a lot more limited. They basically just go Irida chaining. They can still get the Pokemon out, but they can't do all the gymnastics associated with it. See proactive searching of all these stage 1s because they're expecting an item lock. Very clever from the opponents. Right, fish doesn't change much for us. I think I'm fleet-footing first, because if I can discard a water, it would make our Ultra Balls a lot easier. Okay, we can shoo. Don't want this. Okay, nice. That's really good for us. Unlocks the hand quite a bit, actually. We have our bats. As well. So I think it's just get rid of our damage buffs for now. Bat for as much as possible. C5. And there's a Speed Lightning. Very happy with that. Oh my goodness, it's gravy. It's all gravy. Let's go. The wonderful setup is here. Our opponent is likely going to just keep calling or Irida out some basics. That's about all they can do. And they just concede. Sure, they can deal, but what do they deal for, you know? Oh, that was powerful. Right, one more game. One more game. while I quickly get a throat sweet as well, because I'm still unwell. Still have a cold right now. And the throat is feeling it. That was a wonky turn 1 from us, though. Full board, item lock, KO. Oh, the dream. Alright, we're going second, and this time the item lock is looking less promising. We have some draws from speed to maybe get us there. And it's up against Lugia. That's a gift attached. Okay, pretty low-key turn from the opponent. Pretty bad draw for us. I'm just going to get backup Vikavolt developed, I think. Alright, a couple draws for greatness. Not quite. Do I do anything? Probably bench Raikou. I guess I could balloon Raikou and then Serena for a couple cards. Just discard one of these. Alright, not the best. Quite a stark difference from the last opener we had. But let's see. The opponent still has to get V-Star and double Archeops in the discard pile. They quickly Stormy Mountains. Okay, they have a Serena. That is one Archeops pitched. Looks like they're playing the Aurora build. Can they access the V-Star? They can. Is this another Archeops? Not quite. So they are lone Archeops gaming. But they will be taking the first 2 prizes here. Oh, they just went for a Lugia. They Crobatting? That's so strange. They're telling themselves that one Archeops isn't enough. Interesting. Do I like locking myself into Melony? Yeah, I think I do, right? What else am I going to do? Huh, I was hoping for some easier choices. I guess it's a VMAX that can go. Which is scuffed because I'm getting a V, but it's fine. Definitely going to belt up our chaps. And we'll just bolt. So the opponent chose to not go one Lugia, take the KO and race us. That's so strange. They do have a research though. There goes the Yveltal. Item lock always means they need to hit the physical outs all the time. There's still only one Archeops in the discard pile. There's a capture. Is it Dunsparce? No, it's Charizard. Okay. It's another Read the Wind. Now it's double Archeops in the bin. Yeah, I think we like Boss. I think we like Boss. Like it enough to keep it. And we'll just keep our lock going. Alright, Lugia comes up. See DTE Research, they are ripping researchers left and right. They finally find a V-Star. So we will be getting knocked out here if they just put a powerful onto the active to counterbalance the turbo. Charizard's underway. So, I can obviously take a KO here in a number of ways. Most of the ways involve me breaking item lock though, because we're only at 220 with weakness. I break item lock, he goes Zard KO, I KO Zard with Raikou, so he has to have a way to deal with Raikou after all this. Basically is where my head's at. So I probably want to Marnie KO this turn. No, I don't need to do it this turn because he already has the Zard ready to go. So maybe it's just Melony this turn to keep up on attachment game. So if I'm Melony to... Let's quickly fleet-footed. If I'm Melony to a Raikou and attach... I think that's the best play I can make. I'd probably go into this one now. Keep the Air Balloon around. He Zard KOs, I Vikavolt KO. Or do I go Melon to a Lecky and try and have the tankiest Mon possible in 2 turns' time? That could be best. It forces me into Melony though, but that's fine. We can make that happen. Might need this for... Maybe I'm Greninja-ing this turn. Right. Work towards more melons, I think. Alright, let's super zap him. Speed's a very good prize. Those are two amazing prize cards. The main problem with this line is that I can't disrupt his hand, and his hand is going to be pretty sizable. So it's not unlikely that they could use, like, Serena on the fish or something. Next turn. We're trying to go Melony attach KO with a Lecky, make the biggest thing possible. Try and make them have an attacker plus Gust. They're only down one, no, they're down 2 powerfuls. So they can't attack with an Archeops to KO the fish. That's not too dangerous. I guess Wild Tackle can Gust KO. Alright, let's see some more cards. That seems like a good one. Let's see one more. So I locked myself into this Melony to make the biggest poke possible, but ultimately they could easily have Gust in this hand, right? They are likely to take the dub here with one Serena played and a monstrous hand. The only other way I could have done this was attack with a Raikou this turn and then been able to have thrown a Marnie in the mix, but how good is a Marnie when they've already got double Primal Turbo, you know? Yeah, so taking an L against Lugia, it's by no means free. Our opponent actually just read the window for a few turns as well, but because we only got one Aleki down, we weren't able to really keep that lock going. That was the problem. If we were able to keep that lock established for a little longer, it would have been all good. But yeah, that's some Vika Aleki. Let me know what you think about it. I've not been too impressed. I think it's kind of mid-low tier. Like, probably... Yeah, well, I'm going to do a tier list soon, but I think it's definitely a deck in the format. It's really good against Lost Zone engines, which I think also keeps it afloat. Its lightning typing is interesting. We didn't get to use much Raikou, but the threat of it is always there, which is interesting. Has minor anti-synergy with you item locking the opponent, but I still like it at the 2 count, especially because it's not the worst lead just for a combo deck anyway. So let me know your thoughts on the list. Have you been liking Vikavolt Aleki, and do you think I'm underselling it? I'll hear it all down below. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers.